Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike, and these are 10 horror movies that kick ass that have Rotten Tomato scores on Rotten Tomatoes. First up, The Hills Have Eyes remake in 2006. Now, you'll notice this is one of the ones that also has a negative audience score. I feel like The Hills Have Eyes remake is just one of those movies that stands the test of time really well. I think maybe people were sick of the unrated, gross out, mean kind of mid-2000s movies at that point. But when you look back on this one, it's a movie that kicks ass. It's got some good scares in it. It's gnarly. It is dark. It is twisted. It is mean. But it's actually a pretty damn good horror movie by Alexander Aha, in my opinion. And I guess the reason for this then was faster paced for today's audiences. This Hills remake ratchets up the gore for the hardcore horror fans, but will turn away casual audiences. And Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes, as great as a classic as it was, I feel like it's one of those movies that could use an update for today's modern horror fans who will hopefully go back and check out that one as well. But yeah, some of the different reviews on this one, let's see if I was right about why. There you go, right there, Richard Roper. It's just nasty, Steven. Nick says, what's fundamentally missing is the anarchic, irrational unpredictability that made the original so terrifying. Okay, I can get behind that. Geoff Paveri says, Aha and his gorehound ilk are making movies that simply wallow in state-of-the-art displays of torture, sadism, and sexual humiliation. Those are all scary things, Greg. Moving on, number 2 is going to be, God, I love this movie. It kicks so much ass, and I feel like anybody who's ever seen it probably remembers the first time they watched it. In my case, a buddy called and said, come over and watch this. It's going to blow your fucking mind. And I said, Ashton Kutcher? It's The Butterfly Effect, which had a 34% Rotten Tomato score on Rotten Tomatoes, an 81% positive audience score. God, I love it when that happens. It just gets my goose can't cooking. Critics' consensus was the premise is intriguing, but it's placed in the service of an overwrought and tasteless thriller. What's tasteless about it, Greg? It's fucking dark. It's twisted. I love this movie. If you guys have not seen this movie, it's a really great performance by Ashton Kutcher, to be honest with you. And it's so dark and it's so fucked up. And it's just a fascinating movie that will really like grab your emotions and also entertain the shit out of you and also scare you a little bit. It's a pretty cool story with a great idea in there as well. But the critics said, ouch, 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 so very bad, says Neil. Nell, thank you. I really appreciate that deep and insightful critical thinking review. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone says, nothing could save this repetitive bore. Dude, where's your memory? Again, these people are more like, Ashton Kutcher, don't step into my serious movie dome. How dare you? It's just like with Arnold and Sly during some of their reviews later in their careers. It was all like, these stupid macho assholes are finally doing shitty movies so I can shit on their shitheads. Rex Reed of The Observer, cutting, says not 1 second of this bilge makes any lick of sense. Neither does using the word bilge. Ed Gonzalez actually may have it right with his rotten review. Time travel for the MTV generation. That's fair. It was entertaining and not fucking boring. Next up, we have Saw. This one's actually surprising as hell to me. I can't believe the original Saw movie, not only did it wield 10 sequels and is a huge franchise, obviously that doesn't mean anything's good. You look how much money the Twilight movies made or whatever, but, Saw was a great movie, I felt like. I think we all saw that and went, holy shit, this is new, it's different, it's smart, it's got a crazy cool twist in it. I'm shocked that still to this day, Saw has a 50% negative score on Rotten Tomatoes, 84% audience score, which makes way more sense to me. And today, Saw 10, it's like, I guarantee it's like an 86% fresh or something like that. And I still, as much as people like it, I don't think there's many people out there saying Saw 10's better than the original. Anyways, the critics' consensus is Saw ensnares audiences with a deceptively clever plot and a myriad of memorable, nasty set pieces, but its lofty ambitions are undercut by a nihilistic streak that feels more mean than profound. This horror film is mean! James Christopher says James Wan's horror film Saw is full of demented twists and guilty-looking actors, but the scenario is cruel enough to make you squirm. Because it's a horror movie! Derek Malcolm says, as a study in the macabre, it barely suffices. As a sick and bloody joke, it's bloody sick. What? Fucking what? Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. Again, another mid-2000s remake that the audience score agrees with. I feel like if you ask most horror fans today, I think a lot of us agree. And I would say if you repoll it. Everybody today, I feel like this would definitely have a positive audience score. The 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake kicked fucking ass. And it wasn't just because of Jessica Biel's ass. It was because of a myriad of reasons. That movie was scary. It was vibrant. It gave the movie a reason to exist today. There was a good reason to remake it. It's never going to be as scary and just fucked up and just dark feeling in your tum-tum the way the original was. But what they couldn't make up for in that, they made up for with some really cool filmmaking and modern filmmaking tricks. And I felt like they did a really good job with it. The critics' consensus was it's an unnecessary remake that's more gory and less scary than the original. Peter Bradshaw says it's horrible and explicitly violent, but never authentically scary. Yeah, because the first one wasn't violent at all, when the guy was flopping around on the ground like a fucking SpongeBob fish. Peter Travers, once again, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He says all the bad rehash mojo from Friday the 13th to the Blair Witch has infected Scott Kosar's script. Buddy, I don't know if you know this, but the Blair Witch Project wasn't a rehash. It was an original story, and it has nothing to fucking do with 2003's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Am I misreading something? What the fuck is Peter talking about? Next up, The Strangers. Probably the most famous home invasion movie of all is a 49% rotten, more surprisingly, a 48% rotten audience score. I do feel like it was surprising. A lot of people, when The Strangers came out, it felt like, were like, nothing happens. This movie's boring and it's stupid and it's mean and I hate it. And now that I understood when it came out, but over time, I think as everyone's come more accustomed to it, when you think home invasion movie, I think most people's thoughts go straight to The Strangers. Mine goes to Funny Games because, my God, was that fucked up. But The Strangers, by all accounts, in its original package, was something special, I feel like, at the time. It just captured something in everybody's attention. I'm shocked that it has a negative score on here. The critics' consensus was The Strangers has a handful of genuinely scary moments, but they're not enough to elevate the end results above standard slasher fare. Here's a movie that I fucking love. I mean, every time I watch this movie, I am just blown away by how gnarly it is and how actually scary it is. Then the end happens and I'm like, well, that was something to talk about too. Switchblade Romance, or as most of us know it, High Tension, or as some people call it, Haute Tension. The critics' consensus on this one, it has a 41% rotten rating, by the way, and it seems like the kind of film that critics love, but again, mid-2000s, I feel like critics were really against this sort of horror movie, and that's what we were getting. We were getting the unrated, nasty versions of stuff, and it was a fun time to be alive, to be honest, but I can understand being sick of it. Anyways, the critics' consensus is there is indeed a good amount of tension in this French slasher. Wordplay! But the dubbing is bad, and the end twist is unbelievable. Cher Michelle Fetters from MovieFreak.com says not only is it an assault on the senses, it's a fucking horror movie, Dad. The film is so narcissistically nihilistic. God, that's a lot of holistics. The only ones sure to get a kick out of it are members of the Manson family fan club. Well, that's great. I guess I'll just go live in a van down by the river. Now, again pops up here. She says, the ultimate rescue, however, comes when the credits roll and the lights come up. God, that's just the deep cut kind of shit you can only get on Rotten Tomatoes. Richard Roper says, an extremely well-made, very grisly, and ultimately dishonest slasher film, too clever for its own good. Now that is a review. Although I disagree with it, that's more like it. Good job, Richard Roper, you fuck. Flatliners. 1990s Flatliners has a rotten audience and critic score, which does surprise me a lot. It says, while it boasts an impressive cast, striking visuals, and an effective mood, Flatliners never quite jolts its story to life. Now, this is a movie that doesn't have its problems, yeah, so I can kind of see where they're coming from on some of it, but Jude, just like when you go back and watch Jude, see you later, Jobin. When you go back and watch this movie and just the mood of it and the vibe of it, there's just not a lot of movies like it, which made it so fucking stupid why they remade it. Anton Biddle from White Little Lies says a cheesily bombastic film full of alpha male characters all constantly vying to get in the pants of the only woman in their midst and endlessly alienating viewers with their masculine... I'm fucking done reading that. Bill Cosford says goofily self-important. Why doesn't all your reviews just say, I hate men and sweat and barbells? And you better not want to fuck a lady. How dare you? Bill Cosford says, goofily self-important, which that I can totally get behind. Yeah, that Schumacher could do that shit up so good. Carrie Ricky says, except for the performances by Roberts and Bacon, which occasionally redeem it, Flatliners is exasperating, a compelling concept unfulfilled. That makes more sense for sure. The Exorcist 3, another 1990 film that's mostly considered a classic by now. I think this is just ahead of its time. Maybe it just bears the name. It bears the mark of the beast. But still, both negative audience and critics score. The critics' consensus is The Exorcist 3 is a talky literary sequel with some scary moments that rival anything from the original. I don't think that's how you meant to spell that out, Rotten Tomatoes. Owen Glibberman just said, blah! Renee Jordan says, antiquated melodrama, almost sacrilegious. You could say that about an Exorcist film for sure. I think The Exorcist 3 kicks fucking ass. It's a great detective kind of story. It's a great noir story. It's got some great jump scares, obviously. One of the most famous, probably the most famous jump scare of all time with the lady with the scissors in the hallway. And Brad Dourif rocked the shit in that one. So I think The Exorcist 3 kicks ass. But here's one that both audiences and Rotten Tomatoes did not enjoy. Gave it an 18% as a matter of fact. And I understand why, but fuck me, are they wrong? The Fourth Kind is one of the scariest goddamn movies I've ever seen in my life. Now, either you watch this and you win, it's complete fucking trash. This is dumb as hell, get it out of my face. And I will judge them for trying to really portray this as it was real, like tongue in cheek. They kind of tried to Blair Witch it, but really fell on their face a little bit. But damn it, I don't care. This movie scares the bejesus out of me. And I feel like anybody who's ever been scared of being abducted by aliens in their lives will piss their pants the first time they watch this movie. Or maybe it's just fucking me. But it says the critics' consensus, while it boasts a handful of shocks, The Fourth Kind is hokey and clumsy, and it makes its close encounters seem eerily mundane. I don't know what the fuck is mundane to you about some dude literally being eaten by the static in his fucking TV while a white owl watches outside, but that shit had me haunted for months. And it's got a great cast too, by the way. Anyways, dull, clumsy little movie, says A.O. Scott. Okay, that was deep. Joshua Rothhoff says, unfortunately, none of the subsequent noise is all that scary, and the striving for Paranormal Activity's buzz is shameless. It's better than Paranormal Activity. Michael Phillips is going to blow your fucking mind with this next one. Are you ready? Put on your glasses because it's time to get schooled in the art of critical thinking. No, 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 no! Jeepers Creepers has a 45% negative score and a 49% negative audience score. Obviously, there's no way that this movie is not infected sort of by the fact that the guy who directed it's an absolute loathsome piece of fucking shit who should never be allowed to work on a movie set again. And it's absolutely despicable that he got to do more movies after this one. But as the movie itself, Jeepers Creepers is one of the few monster films that really resonated with the audience, that just lit up in the movie theater when you watched it and had people talking and excited and laughing and scared. The monster, the creeper himself, was gross and disgusting and a really cool addition to the horror world. And Jeepers Creepers is a fucking staple of horror movies to me. So I'm surprised, as silly as it is, as all over the place as it is, it's still got a negative score. But they say Jeepers Creepers has a promising start. Unfortunately, the tension and suspense quickly deflates into genre cliches as the movie goes on. Susan Stark says, blah! Jaha Kim says, you know the part in scary movies where somebody does something really stupid and everybody hates them for it? Trish says to her thrill-seeking brother Derry in the horror film Jeepers Creepers. Well, this is it. Thank you for that part of the movie. That, my friends, is 10 movies that I thought kicked ass, that have Rotten Tomato scores. There's a plethora of these movies. There's also some that the audiences got wrong and the critics got right, and also plan to do an all sequels version of this at some point. So let me know how you felt about this video, and if you would, please like it. Sharing it helps a huge bunch, and sharing naked photos of the Golden Girls with me don't hurt either. I love your all's fucking faces. I hope you guys have an amazing day.
Here comes that white-faced fucker, an asshole like no other. He's a big old piece of shit. Wants to stab your sister's tits cause he's a white-faced fucker. Loomis can't recover. Dr. Challenge drunk again, sleeping with your sister's friends.
Do you want to know about the darkness?
I said, God damn.
God damn you, faggot!
Halloween never ends, suck my fucking dick, and I don't really care what Blumhouse fucking says. Put him in a box, or suck a fucking cock. You can say he's dead, but we all know he's not, yeah. So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking drinking, let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS.